Tennessee, a 36-23 winner over Vanderbilt here in the Mid-State to conclude the 2024 regular season. I'm Eric Kane alongside Brent Hubbs and Austin Price here on the Postgame mini podcast. We're going to get into everything from this football game, what this win means for Tennessee, now winning 10 games in the regular season for the second time in 3 years. This Postgame mini podcast presented by our friends over at GBO Snacks, the official licensed snack of Tennessee Athletics. Whether you're hungry at work, on a road trip, or just need a little pick-me-up, GBO Snacks is the perfect choice to satisfy that Rocky Top craving. The Vol bars are great, made with toasted oats, almonds, 100% real chocolate, and just the right amount of protein to satisfy that afternoon hunger. Ideal for grab and go, and gluten-free Vols cookies are a must-have for the kids while managing those sweet cravings wherever you go. And with every purchase of GBO Snacks, you're contributing to UT's athletics proceeds from every sale go directly to support those student athletes. Order yours today. Visit gbosnacks.com. That is gbosnacks.com. All right, guys, it was not a great start, to say the least. Austin Price, you had a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown before an offense, before a defensive player even stepped onto the field. Tennessee gets the football back. Your All-American tailback fumbles at the 25-yard line. 2 third downs later, Vanderbilt punches it in. It's 14-0, not even 5 minutes into the game, and every Tennessee fan is sitting there like, oh no, here we go. Give Tennessee credit. They battled back. They handled business. A lot of maturity for this football team today.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, I joked with Grant. I said, take a picture of the practice field over there at Vanderbilt because you can see it from the press box. I said, tweet out, this is where Tennessee will be practicing bowls unless this game turns around. Yeah. He laughed. He didn't do it. But, the maturity. We talked about that coming in, like this being an older football team, this having a bunch of guys. When I had Bryson Easton and Omari Thomas out on Volquest Confidential about 3-4 weeks ago, they talked about the mission they were on. So I don't think they ever were real flappable outside of when they got kind of unflappable there at the end of the first half because they were upset about something when Vanderbilt took a knee. But they just bounced back. Nico played really, really well. They had the one bad throw where he underthrew Dante and threw it to the inside, and it got picked off. Other than that, I thought he saw the field really well. I thought his passes were crisp. Dylan Sampson, you said it, right? The quietest 170 yards or whatever it was.
Not just a record-breaking day, a career day for him, the quietest you've ever heard of, right?
Yeah, breaks Travis Stevens' single-season rushing mark with a really strong fourth quarter. And, the biggest thing, Hubbard, we talked about this on the 2-minute drill. Where do they go from here? They got to get healthy. They got 3 weeks before they have a playoff game, whether it's on the road or at home. And, they're a banged-up football team leaving the Mid-State.
Yeah, they've been a healthy football team most of the year, but they're banged up in a couple of areas. And obviously they've got to get Brew McCoy healthy. Good to see Mike Matthews. He can make a play or two when he gets an opportunity, and made some nice plays today. I thought Chris Brazzell showed up today, which was a positive. Listen, at the end of the day, Tennessee's a better team than Vanderbilt. You're supposed to go win. So there are going to be a lot of people say, well, why do you give them a whole lot of credit for this? That's what's supposed to happen. When you look around the country, there's so many teams that can't do that. And for Tennessee to start off in the whole 14-0, you thought, you know what? They're going to be another one of these teams who can't take advantage of the opportunity in front of them. Yeah. And they're just going to whiz it away here. But they didn't do that. They figured out a way to do it and get it done. And give Tim Banks credit. I thought they made some key adjustments. Vanderbilt started 3 of 3 on third downs. They converted only 1 of their last 7.
There you go. That's my favorite stat of the game. I'm glad you said that. 2 on that first drive from the 26, and then from there on, it's like Tennessee said, okay, well, we figured it out, and for the next 3.5 quarters, they played pretty good defense.
They did. They played solid. Their talent rose to the front, to the forefront, and took over. If I'm a Vanderbilt fan, I'm still wondering why in the world I'm running a trick play on 4th and 2 or running a play action pass deep shot on 4th and 2 on an out and up to a tight end. And I don't know why you throw it again on 3rd and 2 when you had an opportunity and you ended up punting the football. So maybe Vanderbilt helped with a couple of play calls, but Tennessee played it right, played it well, and found a way to overcome the worst possible start under the sun. You couldn't have a worse start, but Tennessee survived it because of their maturity, and now they're 10-2 and heading to the playoffs.
And again, look at around the country. I know this was the early game. There's tons more games happening now and later tonight, but I mean, Ohio State lost to its rival and a really bad Michigan team. This is not the same Michigan team that won the national championship.
At home, by the way.
At home. I mean, that's a really bad loss. I mean, of course, we saw everything that happened, last week. For Tennessee to come here, overcome it got a little loud at times, but it was much louder when Tennessee did something good, obviously. But for Tennessee to overcome that start, I thought was big. Look at the drive chart here for Tennessee. Of course, got the football down 7-0. After Vanderbilt returned the opening kickoff. Fumble, touchdown, explosive plays, 2 28-yard plays and a 21-yard play on that drive. Touchdown, turnover on downs where they go jumbo there. And, Brent, I don't like this play call. I know they scored on it in Georgia, but running a fullback dive with a tight end, I hate that. Interception, but then from there on out, field goal, touchdown, 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 punt, touchdown, in the game. I mean, what a finish, Austin. I mean, that is, again, responding the right way. They talked about it in postgame. Miles Kitzman said we're a veteran group. We've been in situations like this before. Don't panic. Next play mentality. All that sounds all great, but, I mean, you saw it today.
Yeah, they learned how to finish, and they're led by the guy who is the ultimate finisher, and that's, Dylan Sampson. I mean, the guy just finishes drives. He finishes games. He finishes in the end zone. He's, you can clearly tell that, he's perturbed. He wasn't even a finalist for Doak Walker, but he also wanted to give the other guys that were a finalist, props. I mean, like, he wasn't trying to poop on them. He said, I respect their games, big fan of their games, and so I think it's a driven football team. We'll see how the night game finishes out, but let's say Texas A&M does beat Texas. I think if you're Josh Heupel, you're going to be – nobody likes to lose, but I think you're going to be glad you lost the Arkansas game, because if they had to go play next week, in Atlanta, you're playing with less team, because, again, you're banged up. You need to get healthy because you're actually in this tournament, and we'll see what kind of draw they get. But, Tennessee, defensively, I thought played really, really well almost the whole game. I think they got kind of the one touchdown pass by Pavia there in the fourth quarter. I thought they got sloppy on that drive. It was just kind of like going
Pierce had him and didn't finish.
Yeah. Again, I thought they just kind of got sloppy. And but I mean, for the most of the day, the defense was really, really good against old Diego Pavia and how much everybody loves him and stuff. I mean, they kept him in check the entire game.
Well, here's the other one they kept in check. I mean, Eli Stowers had one catch on a third down conversion in the first drive or second drive of the game, whatever it was. I mean, from that point on
that 3rd and 8.
Yeah, from that point on, I mean, he's their best weapon. They did a great job. I thought that Vanderbilt would have a chance to attack in the middle of the field with them and try to get after the safeties a little bit. They did a really nice job defending Eli Stowers in the middle of the field today.
Instead, it was Tennessee. Middle of the field was open. I'll be intrigued to go back and see the numbers in the postgame.
I mean, if Tennessee could play a bunch of teams that don't have great defensive line depth and they want to drop 8 and rush 3 and they don't have any pass rushers, it'd be fun football. Yep. And, I mean, they let Nico get into so much of a comfort level because, I mean, he's got back there going, wait a minute, I haven't had this kind of time all season long.
Yeah.
I mean, the touchdown pass to Dante Thornton, the first window was closed to make that throw because of where the safety was. Thornton kept running. He hits him in the second window because he had so much time to throw the football.
With the second touchdown?
Yeah. I mean, it was just one of those deals where I thought Vanderbilt adjusted in the second half and tried to speed him up a little bit and tried to bring some pressure. And they did a little better job. Tennessee methodically decided, hey, we're just going to run it and run the clock there. But, man, he didn't get touched in the first half, I don't think. I mean, that was as comfortable as he's been. I don't know if that's as well as he's played, but that's as comfortable as he's been in a football game because he had nobody around him.
Yeah, again, light boxes, not a whole lot of pressure. Offensive line did what it was supposed to do. A couple of procedural penalties,
oh, good Lord.
Consecutively.
Don't even get me started on the penalties on this team. I mean, what do they have? Three illegal procedure penalties, 3 offside penalties, 3 personal foul penalties. Like, I mean, the John Campbell penalty was in the fourth quarter. It was just
it was peak John Campbell, buddy. It's peak.
I mean,
John
that's
Campbell.
just what are you doing? Like, stop. I mean,
it was peak John Campbell.
It's maddening. Against good teams, that discipline or lack thereof is going to bite them in the rear end.
In the first half, you're trying to get off the field, you're trying to stop the bleeding. You make a third down stop, you rough the passer. It's like, I mean, come on, like
that
one
didn't bother me that bad though. Like, I mean, I'm with you, but like just when you're in the moment. When you're in the moment, it wasn't like he was late hitting him. He just drove him into the ground.
Yeah, he drove him into the ground. But, I mean, like, that's going to be called – I don't care. We can have this debate, all day, every day. They're going to call it.
I'm going to agree with Austin a little bit here. Here's why I don't like that call. This is what irks me about this. And I'm not – Diego's a good player, okay? He's a good, fun college player. He jumps on about 3 out of every 4 passes he throws. Okay, so he left his feet and jumped. Joseph catches him in the air. Is the ball gone? Has he thrown it?
You don't know.
Because when he jumped, he had the ball in his hand, and Joseph is hitting him. So what? Joseph just lets him go. What if he hasn't thrown it? Maybe you shouldn't drive him in the ground. But he's in the. What are you supposed to do to tackle him?
As a defender,
carry him to the end zone and go, hey, are we over? Where's the whistle?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
I just think that was hard.
Like the finish, the driving to the ground. That's to me like. Should it have been a penalty? Probably not. Is it going to be every single time? I
agree it's going to be a penalty. The same way Jamon McCoy got called for one because he put his hand on the guy's nameplate, but he never pulled him backwards. It's not a horse collar. He didn't pull him backwards, but it looked like it, so they called it there. Again, that's a bad penalty because it would have gotten you off the field. You got to be smarter there. Mm-hmm. Figure out a way to be smarter. But some of the other stuff, you're lining up. You're on the ball and you're lining up off sides multiple times. Omari Thomas did it twice. They just in big games moving forward. And I realize Tennessee, and I've just come to terms with it. Tennessee fans should too. It's 4 years. They're going to be a heavily penalized team. That's just who they are. But they've got to clean some of that up. They cannot continue to give a team free 5 yards or to kill them or cost themselves a free 5 or cost themselves 5 yards before the ball's ever snapped.
A name, I think, Brent, you brought him up earlier. I was really impressed with him today. Chris Brazzell, man. Dante Thornton was missing for a half. Brew McCoy didn't play in this game. Squirrel White was banged up at points in times. And, there was one third down. I remember he went up, Brazzell caught it, got sandwiched, held on the football. You like for him to be consistent throughout the season, but I thought Brazzell was good today. I like what we saw from Mike Matthews. Again, this kind of goes back to guys stepping up when needed, and I thought Brazzell really good tonight.
He was. I thought, Josh Heupel talked about that, how he feels like he is really close to being what, they want him to be. Like he's making real strides. I think that's big. You see Mike Matthews making strides, getting more run tonight. I thought, Chaz Nimrod was productive when he got out there tonight, a little bit of action. And so they need players to continue to step up.
Deshaun Bishop.
Yeah, Deshaun Bishop coming back was big. And Dylan Sampson talked about how he just always falls forward. He's always going forward, which is something that Dylan Sampson does.
I think Bishop getting 13 carries today was big. Not just him coming back and being available, but getting 13 carries, kind of forcing him back into it.
Yeah, and again, when, let's say in 3 weeks, Brew's healthier and Dante's healthier, Mike Matthews still needs to play, and mix these guys in. You've rotated at all these other positions. I think it's important to do that as well because it'll allow Brew to get a little bit of breather, and so with same thing with all those guys. So I think again, got to get healthy, but this is a team that because Nico is starting to see the field a little bit better the last month of the season. And again, your Hubs is right. Like they didn't he had a chance to bake cookies, so to speak, today back there. But still, he saw it well, and if he can continue to do that, especially if they get a home game coming up in 3 weeks, then that changes a lot of things.
Well, I tell you what I liked about Nico today.
Scrambling.
The scrambling always. I love the fact they called an actual run for him on that first drive of the second half, which was like, hey, he can run. What a shot. I like the fact that they had some check down options for him today. Hit Ethan Davis across the middle. That was a nice completion. He hit Dylan Sampson over the middle. This offense has not shown a lot of check down kind of, hey, here's a dump off. This is available here for you. They had some of that working for him today based on what Vanderbilt was doing. I'd like to see some of that continue because I think he's seeing the field well enough that, hey, first read's not there, second read's not there. I can get it out of my hands on a check down for 4 or 5 yards here. I thought that was a nice wrinkle they showed today.
It's what they're there for. You see every team in the National Football League have check downs, and you can get a little something.
But now here's the thing. Part of the reason why they had that today is they didn't have to max protect.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Deshaun Bishop. He had a great blitz pickup.
Yeah, he did.
I don't remember what series it was. Nico ended up scrambling on the play.
Linebacker.
He actually, he had a great blitz pickup there. But they didn't have to use as much, so they could release those guys out, and they took advantage of that today. So when you have those opportunities, I like Nico having a place to go with the ball if the vertical or the deep crossers are covered up. I like him having a place, and I thought they gave him some outlets today to get rid of the ball.
I mean, like, end of the day, I mean, the story is Tennessee started off poorly, finished strong, did what it needed to do, all that and more. Look at the final score, 36-23. That's a comfortable win. It's not that Tennessee didn't beat them up real good, but, like, that's a comfortable win. But you look at the final stats, and it's just incredible because I think the hidden yardage, the hidden points with the kickoff return, the short field there on that first possession, Tennessee absolutely dominated the stats. 538 yards of total offense, only 212 all game for Vanderbilt. I mean, Tennessee held Pavia in check through the air. Again, we mentioned third downs already. Tennessee was good in the red zone. Tennessee won time of possession. 2 drives there in the third quarter that I thought were huge for Tennessee. Tennessee scored on a drive there in the third quarter where they took 6:17 off the clock, and then Tennessee scored a field goal there in the fourth quarter where they took 7:46 off the clock. Again, just doing what they need to do and, playing good football there towards the end.
Well, look at this. At halftime, Vandy had doubled up time of possession on Tennessee. It was 2014 to 9:46 at the half, and it finished
26-12 for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, they had the ball 6 minutes and 12 seconds, or 5 minutes and something in the second half. I mean, and again, I think this is for all the people that, and I understand bad start. Everybody wanted Josh Heupel fired, on the GQ. I get it. We're going to
bump those threads,
we're
baby.
Bump
Keep
all
bumping
those threads. I get it. I understand all that, but I think you're seeing Josh Heupel continue to grow as a head coach. He's got a defense he can lean on. Okay, he got the lead in this game. Well, what is he going to do? Well, we're just going to pound on him a little bit. And so they have the 2 long drives in the third quarter. Listen, they had the lead. The last thing you want to do is give Vanderbilt a short field or give them the ball at midfield with a chance. So what does he do? Takes a delay game penalty, backs them up 5 yards, punts it to the 1. It bounces forward. They stop at the 4. Tyree West, 2 plays later, has a safety. I mean, that's people talk about complimentary football and all these phrases all the time. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Josh Heupel's going for it.
Because 6 weeks ago, he went for it from his own 10.
That's true.
So he still has that in him.
But you think,
you're right, he's growing.
But you think about the way he's managed the game and some of the field position stuff he's played. I mean, think about it. I mean, last year he manages field position at home. It gives him the Texas A&M win, and he goes to Alabama the next week and he goes for it twice in his own territory. I'm just saying he has really began to this year. He has leaned on that defense, particularly the back half of this season, and really been okay with the game being short. It doesn't have to be a home run throw every time. I think that's good development for Tennessee, and part of the reason why they're 10-2.
Yeah, no matter what, I think that he has grown in that regard. And the play call you're referencing, I think on his own 12 or whatever, that was a time of the season where he was desperate offensively. But to your
I still don't agree with the play call.
Agree. But to your point, showing that he still has, I mean, he went for it on 4th down in midfield today. I mean, yeah, he absolutely still has that aggressiveness in him for sure. Wrapping things up, again, Tennessee 36-23, Vanderbilt did what it was supposed to do, 10-2. Tennessee will not play next week, conference championship weekend, but Tennessee will be right there, ranked again on Tuesday night in the college football playoff rankings. You mentioned Austin getting healthy.
Need to move up one spot to get a home playoff game. May not happen. We'll see. Obviously the Notre Dame USC game could have a huge impact on that, and it's tied right now as we tape at halftime.
And we'll see what happens with the Ohio State losing as well to a really bad Michigan team.
They're not falling that far. They're just not.
I mean, I'm not. They probably won't.
It's the Ohio State University, man.
I agree. They probably won't, but Michigan sucks. So we'll see what happens, right? I mean, they punished Georgia. They absolutely punished Georgia.
Here's the thing. Tennessee, they're going to wait. Is Michigan better than Arkansas? And they're going to say yes. That's what they're going to say.
Rivalry game. They'll get credit because that game's always hard because it's a rivalry game.
I mean, what you're saying is accurate.
But they won't fall that far. I mean, that's why Tennessee.
I don't think Tennessee's going to fall or Ohio State's going to fall behind Tennessee, but there's a chance.
No, I think that's why you need this Notre Dame team to lose, and why Georgia Tech's inability to finish and Georgia Tech's inability to convert a 2-point conversion was so costly last night, because that would have ensured you a home play. In my opinion, that would set you up perfectly for the home playoff game. I'm not sure you get there now. We'll have to wait and see.
So kind of a weird week. Normally Tennessee would get a lot of time off as you get ready for bowl season and National Signing Day. They might not practice every single day this week, but they will practice a lot. What's this week kind of look like?
Well, I think they're going to give them some time to heal. They'll go a couple of days. It'll be more kind of conditioning, recovery type stuff. You're going to stay in rhythm. They're going to throw the ball some. It's not just it's not just running around with the strength coach. They'll be out there some.
So priorities, emphasis, kind of like a bye week.
Yeah, they're just going to treat this one very much like a bye week, and then you're going to, because right now, what do you prepare for? You don't know who your opponent's going to be.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you wait and you find out who your opponent's going to be, and then you start to build it from there. So, I think we talk about home playoff games. I mean, the conference championship games next week are going to be fascinating to watch, because who's in the Big Ten game now?
It's Penn State.
Okay, so
Penn State and Oregon.
Oh, so what happens if Penn State gets manhandled by Oregon? How far do they fall? What does that look like? What happens in the SEC championship game in terms of how far somebody falls if they lose that game? I think the conference championship games will have an impact on seeding and home playoff games. That'll be something that today won't dictate for sure whether or not you're hosting or you're not hosting. It'll largely depend on what happens tonight and then what happens, obviously, next Saturday.
I think if you're Tennessee, you want Texas to win next week. You want Texas to win today and next week. Just concede that they're up there, because I think Georgia already looks kind of although Tennessee lost to Georgia. But if they were to lose next week to Texas and Atlanta, I think they're falling and you're rising, and I think they're falling to probably the 10 seed.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Again, for all those reasons you pointed out, I think over tonight, the rest of today, and next week, I think there's still so many different scenarios where you're right on that. I mean, you're in, but it's like in terms of hosting, you're that first team out in terms of hosting, right? I mean, there's so many things that can fall your way. You just need probably one, and we'll see what happens. Whether it's Ohio State falling all the way behind you, or I guess Texas. If Texas were to win tonight, that would be kind of their signature win. So if they lost next week, they wouldn't fall that far, even though outside of the win over A&M in this hypothetical, that resume is not very good. So we'll see what happens. Again, Southern Cal's playing right now against Notre Dame. That's one to pay attention to. But most important thing, Tennessee, a winner over Vanderbilt. It did not start off pretty, but it ended just as everyone thought. Tennessee wins comfortably 36-23 and is in the college football playoff. And we'll have all the coverage about who Tennessee will play where and all that and more next weekend. We'll find out where Tennessee's ranked in the college football playoff rankings on Tuesday. All that and more right here at Volquest.com. This postgame mini podcast has been presented by our friends over at GBO Snacks. When you are partaking in GBO Snacks, you're contributing to UT athletes, as proceeds from every sale go directly to supporting those Vols student athletes. Order yours today, gbosnacks.com. That is gbosnacks.com. For Brent Hubbs, Austin Price, I'm Eric Kane. Appreciate you guys joining us here on the Volquest.com postgame mini podcast.